length of a fund, private equity fund, is about 7 years. That's 7 years. Let's say 6 of us. We hire 6 partners. KKR has 6 guys, or Blackstone or whatever. You go out and raise the money. You invest the money. You exit the money. It's 7 years, end to end. Well, they're in there 7, 8 years, and the guys went out, and the piece of shit, they want to sell it. They can't exit it the right way, and so he bought them out. And he had it was an SBA loan and 3 private equity firms. He had already bought the shares, preferred shares, with his own little money a year or 2 before from one of the funds. I believe he said it was an Israeli fund. And but when he sat there, and I said, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You gotta buy yourself out. And not dissimilar to what I told Deb, the other guy from Singapore. These guys get in the forest. They can't see the trees. They don't know what they can do. Of course, you don't know what you don't know. If you've never been part of a recapitalization, LBO, I mean, you don't know from shit. And nobody teaches it. I mean, just virtually nobody, except here. And we only teach the first 3 or 4 rungs of the ladder, because that's all you need to do to get generational wealth. Now, he's doing a real proper recapitalization with bells and whistles and shit, and that's why I told him to stop. It's not necessary for you to know that at this level. But he obviously follows the steps. And he said the same thing that Deb and Frank and everybody else says. The people feel uncomfortable when you walk in dressed like this. The money. In fact, I told him the company lawyers wanted to. I told him to get separate lawyers. You need separate lawyers for you. You need separate lawyers for the shareholders, and that all costs more money. But it also, you want to protect your interests. I'm interested in your interests. I'm not interested in the fucking private equity interests. They're big boys. Fuck them. If they get fuck them. And so, and then invariably somebody, well, that'll cost us an extra $50,000, an extra $100,000. But I mean, it's like the lightning that hit 5 times. When it hits somebody else, it's a statistic. When it fucks you, it's 100%. So, I mean, you will, by definition, conventional wisdom would be to tighten the expenses and not spend as much money on other additional professional advisors, and that's what you need. Now, his deal's done. He gave $10 million to his team. He kept 20. He's going to exit at about 20, 25 times EBITDA, and he bought it, I believe, at 7. And he's going to pocket somewhere between 60 and 100 million bucks, depending on how high on the spread. And he did it in 10 months. And as he measured his investment return on the $20,000 it cost to come here, and so he's made 1,000 times his money. That's not how I measure it, but that's how he measures it. A takeaway from Roberto.
Professional looking, professional sounding,
yep.
First class diet.
Looking,
hire him right away.
sounding, first class diet.
Yeah.
Hire him right away.
Yeah. I mean, he is. But I mean, his lawyers and accountants, they could have told him what I told him, but they didn't. So there's the old crab pot. A crab starts to get out of the pot, and the other crabs pull him down. I.e. your families. But he came here to get the advice. But he had already made the QLA model work once before. The first acquisition they made a year and a half before was based on him just reading the book, and which has been out there a long time. And he's made the model work. Of course, now he's a big believer. When Sally and I met him for a drink in New York a few months ago, I mean, in the movie Back to the Future, when the guy floats on that skateboard, I mean, when he walked into the bar at the Lowell, the hotel, it looked like he was 6 inches off the ground. I mean, he just kind of floated in, And Sally and I both noticed that it wasn't like he was moving his feet. No, he was happy. He looked happy there because it looked like it was going to close, but it since has closed. And I put the post up on social media, and now he's working on other deals, and And like you said, it just works. But you gotta follow the shit. If you don't follow this, I call it shit. You gotta follow the steps. And when you don't follow the steps, one or two things happens. Either it doesn't work or it takes a lot longer. Either it doesn't work or it takes a lot. And it doesn't work because the banks get tired of waiting, the seller gets tired of waiting, your dream team leaves you. And but when you follow it in a pretty judicious way, it took him 10 months, and he could have done it in probably 6 months, as I mentioned. But when you're moving that fast, you get afraid. Fuck, I know it's working, but maybe it's not going to work the next step, or maybe the next guy, But it works, from Forrest Gump down. It just does. But you got to trust the system. And most, not just you, but most people don't have faith in themselves because they've had enough failures. They've got enough failures that, well, fuck. Why would this be any different? I'm at the helm. I'm meaning you. I'm at the helm. How am I going to punch it across the goal line when I didn't punch this one across the goal line? I didn't punch this one across the goal line. Or, and the difference is whatever methodology you were following before was bullshit probably. And this one, even if you get it half-ass wrong, you still get it in the across the goal line. And the real differentiation is whether you buy it at 2 times EBITDA or 5 times EBITDA. So whether you make 5 or 10 or 15 million, or you make 15 to 50 million, and that's the difference, the differentiation. And as you get better, you will, when you tell them the spread is 3 to 5, you'll be buying it at 2, as opposed to 4.5 or 5. Because you'll see what words work best for you. Now, Roberto's pretty articulate. He looks good. But certainly not financially educated in any way, shape, manner, or form. But he's whatever that shit he sells, that's his business. And there were conflicts. And when you're buying a private equity firm out, those are smart sellers. These are not dumb guys. So it's not like mom and pop, Arvie and Margaret across the kitchen table with a pot of coffee and waiting them out till the sun comes up. It's not that kind of deal. You've got to measure everything. And he was going through the process, and I helped him push when he should have pushed. He could have pushed a little harder. And somebody, one of the shareholders, when we're not on film, remind me I want to bring something up because somebody right at the close, when they're signing the papers, cost him $3 million. But I'll tell you about that when we're not on film. Anything else about Roberto? Now you've seen Rufus Doofus. You've seen a polished guy, 27 years. You've seen the Dutchman, the giant Dutchman. You've seen the teenager. You've seen a guy uneducated but polished. He didn't just fall off the turnip truck. And the rest of the guys you're going to see during the week, you'll be able to resonate with one of them. Most of you right now resonate with Jamie, the closest. And that's why I put him up there. He's not the best advertisement for my fucking program, believe me. But he did it. So he's up there. Any questions about anything like that? Okay, YouTube. Thank you.